to the idea that we've talked about a little bit, that the Afghan population, General, you said a few minutes ago in response to one of my colleagues that it was your hope that within a relatively short period of time, you would be able to convince them that this was the right move on their behalf and that they would be with us. But aren't there big question marks when we've got a timeline in place with how the Afghan people are going to react when there is such a threat of violence from from Al-Qaeda and Taliban that are coming into these small villages and, taking names? How are we going to convince them that this long-term commitment that you mentioned, it seems to me there's some ambiguity here, and there needs to be clarity for the people of Afghanistan to understand our commitment and translate that into their support for us. Can you comment on that?
So most importantly, they're going to judge us by our actions, and as we go down into areas where we have recently secured, the question back to us is always, are you going to stay this time? And when we respond, the Marines are asked this all the time, and we would say, yes, we are. Sometimes they'll come back and say, but you didn't last time. And so what they are really judging is not our rhetoric, but our performance in staying. And we do have a deficit of trust from that standpoint to make up, because they know that the Taliban can be trusted to at least make an effort to come back and coerce. What I think we need to this is a serious challenge, sir, but I think what we need to stress is, one, the effects that we will have with the increase in forces that we have, but more importantly, the long-term partnership. That's really what they want. Even down at the lowest level in villages, they're looking for long-term predictability in their lives and a long-term partnership with people who will help them, and us to help their government. So I think we should not be, I think we should contest enemy propaganda about timelines, but we should stress really the timeline that we are on is helping them in the long-term partnership.
Well, I appreciate that. I still think there's some gaps in connecting the dots between what the Afghan people are hearing and understanding, considering their apprehension about our leaving and now hearing these things about 2011, that why shouldn't the enemy sit on their hands and then, after the deadline, ratchet up? And I wish you all the success in the world, and we hope that comes together. But in the next couple of months, do you expect you're going to be able to have an ability to better explain this to the Afghan people so that they're more on your side, because it seems like they don't depend on their own government?
This is a challenge, but working with their government, I think we can do a number of things. One of which is they want a partnership. They want assurance from us, but they don't want us to stay forever. They don't want foreigners in their country. So in many ways, the guarantee that we, the coalition, will support them but not stay too long is actually a positive as well. So what we've got to convince them is we are going to help their government and their forces create conditions of security that will be reassuring and stable enough for them, and that we will have a long-term partnership with them that'll make them feel comfortable to move in that direction. But I do go back, we have to prove that with our actions, not just with our words.
And lastly, back to Pakistan for a minute. I think it's been widely acknowledged that no matter how good we're doing, that if the Pakistanis don't step up to the plate, we've got a real problem on our hands. I'm assuming there's a renewed, intensive effort to convince them to do more than they've done before, because we've only gotten rhetoric out of them in many cases.
So I think that their recent actions over the last year or two against their own internal insurgency are really a good indicator of just how serious they are about conducting counterinsurgency operations and reducing instability on their side. I think that also Pakistani leadership shares with us an understanding that instability on either side of the Durand line threatens the other. So I don't believe that either Afghanistan or Pakistan can be fully stable or secure over the long haul if the other isn't. And I think that gives them shared strategic objectives.
I think, if I could add,
the gentlelady from Maine, Ms. Pingree.